Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Timelines Unbound. Yes, that's the name of the series. Hold on, I forgot. I'm still adapting to this new series name, so I'm not really too familiar with it. But here's the map of the Earth. A few new countries have popped up. This is oh god, what's it called again? Too Many Cats Land. Yes, there's a lot of cats there. If you can tell. We have Korea over here, which is actually a vassal. Not a vassal, but it's owned by the same guy that owns which one again? Shit, I am not good at remembering these. I'll remember it later. Yeah, but Korea's here. That's all that matters. And there's also Michigan's, North Michigan, South Michigan. In the lore, they're referred to as Dollar General and Family Dollar, so we'll see how that ages. Anyway, starting off with the events of the video, this war down here in Rome is expanding once again, and what the fuck? War in Rome is expanding once again, and the Romans are slowly pushing towards Napoli, which is the capital of, Grey Rome, Naples. Oh yeah, before we get to this, we have new flags. This is okay. It's very hard to see, but that's the flag of Rome. This is the flag of Grey Rome. We have Israel down here, made by the creator of Israel. We have blue Ukraine. We have Prepholm. Scotland over here. Yes, it's called Scotland now. And that. Listen, ancient flags weren't the best. And there's no flags over here except the game theory flag, for some reason. And we also have the flag of Roboland. So that's cool. It's pretty cool. Anyways, while this war is happening, some tensions are rising up between the Albanians and the Romans, because as of recent years, the Albanians have been, as you can see, this didn't magically happen, it's totally been like this the whole time. The Albanians have significantly moved up in the Italian peninsula. And they're not liking what the Red Romans are doing, because it's very threatening. Oh yeah, they also moved south a lot. They took over basically all of this down here. And they made a little landing on the Peloponnese. So Albania is pretty big. We might not be able to call them Albania pretty soon. I don't know why their capital city still is it. Oh, it's on the land layer. I'll worry about it later. But Albania is they're not very happy with what Red Rome is. They're not very happy with what Red Rome is doing because Red Rome is conquering a lot of stuff that they want to conquer. And I'm not saying that they're well aligned with Grey Rome, but Grey Rome isn't as much as a problem as Red Rome over here, who controls a significant amount of Italian provinces. So what do? They form a alliance of sorts. It's a temporary alliance. What would be a fun shape for this one? Let's call it the X Alliance. Oh shit. And some more people are going to join in it, specifically New Speckland, because they're a vassal of sorts of Albania, so they kind of have to join in. And KFC is also going to join in. They're going to give a little bit of naval support. They're not really a militaristic nation. So this isn't very good for the Romans, as you could imagine, because there's a lot of fucking countries attacking them, and their forces are not superior in numbers anymore, which is not good. So they're going to push down into the capital city, and there's a lot of troops marched down here, which is not good for them. They're going to begin marching down, and they eventually meet up with Albanian forces who begin fighting them. They surround the capital city, pushing down to the rest of here. However, there is a small landing here from southern Albanian forces and some new Speckland forces, which is going to slow down their advance, and they're going to start pushing back a little bit because this army is smaller than this army. Anyways, the Albanians are going to start liberating some territory over here until they meet up with the capital city, which is very good for the Albanians. Very, very good. And they eventually meet up with their forces down here. So they have a significant force lined up here. I would say around 30,000 troops. Around here it's maybe 20,000. The Romans have a very high population of about 400, maybe 500,000 now. It was 420,000 a few hundred years ago, so it's probably in 600s now, which is pretty good. Anyways, they're moving up Italy, making huge advances, until they once again reach a stalemate because the forces are equal. So we'll come back to that later, and maybe later in this video, perhaps. Next up, we're going to see probably one of the greatest expansions in history. The Russians have kind of been preparing a large migration of peoples, and what is happening? Okay. This is going to be an extremely, extremely large expansion, larger than any other expansion, and they're going to attempt to move northwest so they can connect up with the sea, but they're going to be stopped because they don't have any more resources. Yeah. But they do discover a lot more resources over here, which is pretty good. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, down here in Antarctica, they struck gold. Yeah, there's a gold deposit down here. This is what they look like, by the way. This is what gold deposits look like. So that's one of 35 gold deposits, and we now... Okay. Don't know why I'm on this layer. We can now erase this gold deposit. Very cool. Speaking of Antarctica, their population has increased massively over time, and now they're ready to conquer all of this territory out here. They are easily the largest nation on Earth, but they are also one of the probably the least populated nation now that Speckland is out of the question. So yeah, Antarctica is massive. Anyways, Too Many Cats Land is going to expand. They're going to expand southways, conquering all of these provinces over here. except that one apparently. And they're even going to start setting sail for islands and taking over a lot of the surrounding islands, like Mauritius and Reunion over here, and Comoros, and not the Seychelles yet. They're not that navally powerful. I'd say the most navally powerful country in the world right now are, you guessed it, the Vikings. The Vikings are easily the most navally powerful country, actually. I don't even know what I'm talking about. They're very navally powerful. Probably twice as powerful as second place, which I would probably have to give to... it's not Iceland. It's not any of the Irelands. It's probably France right here. I mean, the navies down here aren't as good because it's not important. Um, the largest landlocked navy is actually Russia's over here. I'm gonna start calling them Russia because they're looking a little big now. So consider that canon if you feel like it. I am God after all, so yeah. Anyways, we're gonna see some westways expansion from the Ukrainians. Anyways, Kiev is not going to do anything because they're just nonchalant like that, I guess. Anyways, World Destroyer has expanded east a lot, and they're starting to eye up Finland over here. Speaking of Finland, another country is eyeing it too, which is Prepolm. I finally got the hang of saying that name, I think. I'm not going to rename it to Bubblegum Land, as I've been requested to. They're going to make large expansions over the coast of Finland. They are going to move their capital city. This still remains a major city, probably their most populated one. But they moved their capital over here, in the Holy Finnish City, if you will. The first Finnish city that they've discovered. What the fuck? Why is... Oh. There we are. The Vikings are going to continue their search for gold, and they're finally going to border Gothenburg for the first time. Yeah. This might cause problems in the future. Expand east a lot. We're going to take over all of these provinces. They have a lot of room to expand because they're, they have a decently high population. Surprisingly not the highest. I would put it around, 500,000 right now. It's not as great as the Romans. It's slightly behind because their fertility rate is not as great. That rhymed. That unironically rhymed. Anyways, they're now bordering Gothenburg just by a slither. Let's see if that causes problems in the future. The Vikings are now going to create a new series of economic pacts, the first of which being... Oh, that's the wrong shape. The first of which being inviting Holland to the Square Pact. It's a pretty simple deal they have here, which is you give me soldiers, I give you everything else that you want. Anyways, another trade deal is going to happen between two very unlikely allies, and it's going to create a new little trade thing here. These can just be little deals like that. That doesn't have to be an alliance. It's just a deal. I don't know why that's up there. No, get the fuck out of here. Slovakia is going to create a new deal with, can you guess who? It's going to be the last thing you think of. Yep, it's the Scottish. They're going to create a deal which basically says if Slovakia gives us a lot of grain, because there's not a lot of grain in this part of the British Isles, we will give them a lot of fish, and fish is a delicacy in Slovakia, so that's pretty cool. Speaking of Scotland, they finally grew some balls, and they've conquered the Highlands. They have settled it, they have built cabins there, and they have become men, as if they weren't that before. There is a large Viking population here. Anyways, Northern Ireland annexes this part of Isle of Man. Yeah, it's a very sad day. And Southern Ireland conquers the rest. And now Ireland is now entirely filled in, and the Welsh Company is going to expand by a single province, and the Cornwall Company is going to expand a little bit. Nice. It is here that we see South Ireland has finally eclipsed Northern Ireland in power. Even though South Ireland is kind of a new-gen country, Northern Ireland has not been catching up. They have been very slow in their advances. Northern Ireland catches wind of this and decides to take a little bit of inspiration, and they cross the Sea of Ireland, and they come over here and build a colony here. They also take this colony, or land, from the Isle of Man. I don't even know why Isle of Man controls all this. Like, they don't really, use it. The Isle of Man has a population of like 20,000. This area here has like a population of 30,000. That's a very inconsistent population density. England finally links up over here with the other side of, the England area. A small little agreement is reached by the Frances, and it's pretty simple. Everything west of this point is orange France, and everything east of this point is purple France. Yeah. Anything inside the line is a free game, so we'll see how that goes. They're getting along. I didn't think this would happen. But surprisingly, they're pretty close. They have similar cultures because they're all French. So, yeah, they don't hate each other. The only people that really hate the French is everybody except the French. So, nice. Over here in Iberia, not much is happening. Finally, the rest of the Portugal area is captured by Galicia. Or not the rest, but a very large sum of the Portugal area is captured by Galicia. Albania takes over the rest of Sicily, while this war is happening, of course. And that allows the Red Romans to actually, make a little bit of advances. Yeah, Albania is kind of selling. The Mediterranean Empire is expanding. The Limes are conquering island after island. The thrill of discovering an island. They conquered the Athens area and some of the southern Peloponnese. Hold on, and they now border Albania. Let's see how that turns out. I have no idea how Israel is doing it, but they have convinced more tribal people to kind of band together and join Israel. Yeah, it's very impressive. You know, let's just forget the Caucasus nation exists. That would be a really funny bit. I'm gonna cut this part out, hopefully. The Gothenburg take over some more of the Danish Isles. They take over the island of which Copenhagen resides on. Of course, Copenhagen doesn't exist right now, but we'll see if it exists in the far future, I guess. Hamburg, of which I will now be referring to as Denmark, is yeah, they've taken over a large sum of Denmark. Holland has also expanded with their new economy benefits from the Vikings, which is good for them. This economy pact is serving very. This little economy pact between the Hollanders and the Vikings is proving very fruitful, as the Hollanders have gained a significant amount of girth. I just burped in the middle of recording. I'm not going to cut that out. Greenland has conquered the rest of Greenland. If you didn't watch the last video, this is Greenland. This is Iceland up here. The Iceland colony is also growing very rapidly. Oh, that's very satisfying. Oh, it's so satisfying to coat stuff in. You have no idea the thrill. The Vikings also take over some of these islands. Ireland has considerably grown in girth. The Romans, for some reason, instead of focusing full front on their war, is going to expand northways a little bit. Good for them. Actually, not good for them, because that's going to push them behind in the war a little bit. Grey Romans have pushed up the Romans a lot while they were doing their northern conquest. So, yeah, Rome, bad on you. Speaking of which, the Grey Romans have conquered the rest of Napoli down here. And, you know what that means. While the Grey Romans were doing their little conquering down here, the Red Romans caught them off guard, and they took over a considerable sum of land. You see how this is going? They're trying to expand in their off time, but they're not focusing on the war. It's very confusing. Immediately, a state of war is declared between Michigan, and the Michiganders, they waste no time immediately taking over this province over here. They take this over immediately, and they begin crossing over to here. Now, the southern Michiganders have been around for just a little bit longer, so they've had time to mellow, if you know what I mean. Anyways, while this is all happening, there's a very tight, quote-unquote front line. It's not really a front line, it's just people beating shit at each other at a line. They're all lined up in a line beating shit at each other. The purples, the purple nurples, they're gonna attack the Michiganders. Yeah, how unexpected. I fully expected it. Did you? So they make very fast landway, and they end up taking over the city here, which is their capital. And they're just laying malice upon the Michiganders, because, you know, they're not a very developed country. While this is all happening, these guys over here take back their land. And ultimately, the Michiganders are forced to reach a peace agreement. So let's go see what that looks like. Despite losing the war, the Michiganders in the south actually do gain a good bit of land. They gain this little exclave down here, because these guys did get their ass beat pretty hard. They just didn't, you know, get their country destroyed, which was kind of the goal of the southern Michiganders. However, a large sum of their eastern land is taken over by the Torontonese. During all this, the Torontonese also made large expansions, basically in every direction. You know, they're looking a lot bigger in general. Anyways, let's go see what Alta was doing during all of this. Sweet mother of pearl, they are massive. They're not quite as big as the Torontonese, but their population is very much making up for it. These guys have a very high, the largest population in the Americas right now. A sort of event took place, kind of a population boom, if you will, similar to the post-World War II era baby boom. It wasn't as drastic, but these guys have a very high population, approaching 500,000, which is very unexpected, but it happened. Post-Anoramia has expanded slightly, but they're kind of slowing down their drastic expansion because they want to, you know, develop the country. Yeah, new concept, I know. They're developing their country and technology, and they have achieved technology level 3. This isn't a new achievement, by the way. The Vikings already did it, and these guys, Alta, they already did that too. A war is going to break out over here on the Irish Isles. Well, it's just an island, not an isle, between South and North Ireland, because there has been conflict brewing here for a while. There have been skirmishes along the border, and now it is finally escalated, and it has become official. Anyways, the South Irish are immediately going to move over here into, what's this one called? Mayo, yes. They're going to move into Mayo County, and they're going to succeed. They're going to take over all these counties, and not many people will notice because they're also Irish. Yeah. Northerners are going to move down here into Leinster and take over a significant part of it. They're also going to cut across the sea and take over the Welsh Company. However, the Southerners' advance reaches Tyrconnell and Tyrone, and they have entirely encapsulated the western part of the island. And it's not looking good for either of these, really. There's a lot of death happening. A lot of death. That's typical with these early wars. There's mostly death, not a lot of getting anywhere, because not much is happening. Anyways, the Northerners take over the Cornwall Company too, and something interesting is happening. These nations have just entirely shifted from north-south to west-east. A stalemate is finally reached a few months later, and they sit down and agree to peace talks. The peace deal is as follows. The Northerners, now the Easterners, is that a word? Eastern? The East people, they take over the eastern half of the island, and these guys take over the west part. Now these guys, they did kill a significantly larger amount of people, which in ancient terms means they get a lot of leeway in the peace treaty, so they got a little bit more mainland. However, all of these colonies are now under pink control. I forgot what this nation's called. They're still Ulster, and these guys are still Desmond, so not much has changed other than these quadrants of the island. Anywho, the British are massive now. Yeah, they're still English really, but they're a bit larger. And following the following days, we see the complete annexation of the non-Isle Isle of Man territories by England. They do this because the leader of Isle of Man is so humble, he just gives it all up. Yeah, he's like that. Vikings are now establishing little outposts around Europe, specifically the northern parts. They build two right here, one in Denmark, and one over here in Calais. And they even sail all the way down here and build one right here. Yeah, they're going everywhere. I wonder what this is for. Now, these outposts aren't exactly colonies. They're more just, military, naval outposts. This one's extremely small because, it's far from the mainland. But they're not, territories. They're not capable of falling apart. The Vikings are also going to make one more major decision, which is going to change the tide of a lot of global politics. The Green Square Alliance here has officially been converted to a economic and militaristic alliance. So now all of these people swear to protect each other. World-changing part is what's about to follow. A behind-the-doors agreement was reached by Rome and the Vikings. They have common interests since they're both major nations and they have a lot of enemies. Yeah, Vikings have a lot of enemies. So the Vikings are going to join the alliance here. Yeah, shocker. Sorry, I'm trying to show enthusiasm like I wasn't spoiled all this because, I wrote the script. They take over these islands from Popeyes very fast, and they begin an invasion of Popeyes itself. They're just trying to kind of slow the South Roman effort, so the North Romans can win, and these guys become best friends. They also make a landing in Tunisia over here. It's important to note that the Vikings probably have the best naval technology in history so far. Their naval range is about that far. Okay, that range is about that far. They can jump between outposts and do some heavy damage. They still can't, cross into the Americas yet. That won't be for another, 1,000, 2,000 years. So you're gonna have to wait for that. Anyways, Popeyes is under siege. This can't be good. And the Red Romans are finally starting to make an advance back into southern Italy. And as much as I wanted to say, as much as I wanted, the Grey Romans to win, a lot of the events that happens in the series is up to the players. And the players have decided that Rome the leaders of these two countries have decided that they're going to team up. And that's just how events are going to play out. The good guys don't always win. It's okay, little Timmy. The good guys don't always win. Anyways, New Speckland very quickly falls, and it's not looking very good for the South Romans. So they agree to surrender so long as Albania doesn't lose too much territory. New Speckland continues to exist, and okay. The South Romans finally agree to surrender, which is good for them. They made the right choice. And let's go take a look at the peace deal. So, looking at the final treaty, we see Epirus be given to Red Rome. We see the heel of Italy be given to Red Rome. And some of these bordering provinces here are given to Red Rome. Speckland is made free again and removed from the Cross Alliance, unless they so choose. And Popeyes, they get away scot-free. Maybe a few tariffs, but that's it. Looking at Albania, they have to create a national holiday for the Viking Dominion. They have to give them 25% of any gold that they find, and they cannot invade any Italian nations or the Viking Dominion for the next 100 years. Yes, this treaty is brutal. The Vikings, they have been waiting for this for a long time. They are, to say, they're Vikingish. They're evil, and they're not going to stop here. They have plans, so we'll see how that evolves. What was that sound I just heard? Next up on the Vikings' to-do list is to kind of free up their living space, and that involves destroying Gothenburg, a nation that's been peaceful for the past, millennium. And they're going to shock and awe straight through this territory, and they're going to show no mercy to the Gothenburgers. They immediately land upon the Gothenburger territory. Did I? Okay. They begin making naval landings around Gothenburger territory, down here to the Copenhagen Islands, and they just, they raid the coasts, and they eventually do take Gothenburg. And this sends a heavy message, because this was done in just barely a month. And the Gothenburgers can't put up much resistance, because the Viking Dominion has probably become the #1 nation currently. And that's not good for their neighbors, and really any small countries nearby. And small basically just means not big. Looking at the peace treaty, these provinces are forced to just migrate down here, and the Vikings, they ransack a lot of gold, and this gold inspires them to get even more gold, so they're going to move inland even more. They're also going to finally start moving north again, as their original purpose was, when they were still a fairly peaceful nation. So the Vikings are very, very big. They're still not larger than Iceland, actually. Iceland is still massive, somehow. Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it. Anyways, we're going to see another war over here. It's actually a kind of just a massive brawl of multiple nations. Specifically, England wants to take over the Cornwall Company, but Scotland isn't allowing that. Scotland is guaranteeing the independence of all other British nations except England. So if England attacks any of them, Scotland will come to the rescue, and Scotland will come to the rescue. So England immediately pushes into this territory, taking over the what would this be? I don't know. The Scottish Company down here. They take over the Welsh Company. They march through this land over here, which is currently unclaimed for now, and they start pushing on the Cornwall Company. And that's when Scotland, they begin finally pushing into the Cornwall Company, dragging them to their last bone, until the Scottish finally begin to act up, and they liberate this territory over here and decide to start making advances into English territory, while the English are distracted fighting down in Devon. So this isn't very good for the English, as they are rapidly losing territory because these are skinny front lines. This area over here is finally liberated, and the English finally notice, and they're like, holy shit, we're being invaded. Anyways, Devon has fallen, and the entire Cornwall Company has fallen. Not very good for the Cornwall, the Cornish. Anyways, now it's a one-front war between the English and the combined forces of everybody. Even the Orange Irish people are in on this. They swear to destroy England because England is a very hated nation, by the way. Yeah, they have made it clear that their ambitions are to take over the entirety of the British Isles, and the Orange Irish do not like this because that's what they want to do. So the Orange Irish, being a little bit more powerful than the Bright Irish, have a lot more success, and they actually come to the rescue. They do a large, U-turn over here and take over this territory, finally encircling the British troops down in Devon, and it's kind of just a repeat of what we just saw. Yeah, they're pushed down to the last bone, and they're wiped out. So we just saw two massacres take place in Cornwall at the same time. That's brutal, man. So the British are now, their name is the British, but they're English, really. The British are now being, they're scared again because they're fighting a two-front war again. And two-front wars in ancient times are not fun. So they're starting to kind of having to spread their front line, and that's not working for them. And eventually they agree to give it up as long as none of their core territories are harmed. So, yeah, let's take a look at the peace treaty. As you can see here, England has kind of been brutalized, especially in the west. The Welsh Company and the Cornish Company have grown significantly. Isle of Man is still the same, but Scotland has taken over a significant area of land, including this inland area, which they finally settled. Totally not, so this one looked completely border-gory. And yeah, the British Isles are looking very colored in, surprisingly. Probably the most colored in area on the map, except the Italian peninsula, which is very, colored in. Anyways, the Danish have finally finished settling this territory over here. Oh, and they do buy this outpost from the Vikings. So, maybe they're aligning with the Vikings almost. Who knows? I'm officially going to start calling these guys the Danish instead of the Hamburgers because, they're majority Danish now. So let's see what they eventually do. Anyways, Popeyes is going to begin making landings into... Okay. Popeyes is going to begin making landings into eastern Iberia, and they're going to take over all these provinces over here, with ambitions to create a new empire overseas and grow their business, their chicken. Are there even chickens in Europe? Probably. Probably. Definitely. I'm not sure. Hold on, let me fix these borders. They look kind of shit. So the new Oregon nation over here is created. Well, it's still, part of Popeyes, but we'll see. Anyways, I think that's actually going to be the end of this video. Yeah, it was kind of uneventful, well, expansion-wise in the second half, because I wanted to do a lot of wars, because it's the first major episode. Every few episodes we're going to do major episodes, and major episodes are just, episodes where a lot of shit happens. Mostly a lot of wars happens, and usually a major treaty, like this. Not much actually changed from, pre-war, except, Epirus and, Speckland is huge now, and actually has a population of Albanians. That's very interesting, so we'll see how that turns out. Oh, and, one more thing before this video ends. As you probably know, one of the 35 deposits of gold have already been found. However, a second one has been found. A second one has been found in a newborn nation that barely even noticed it was carrying a pot of gold under its territory. And that nation is Imperia. Imperia has struck gold! They have reached a gold deposit, and now they have gained significant buffs, including stability, advances toward technology, and considerable sums of territory in the next episode. We'll see how they spend their gold in, expanding. Because when you have gold in your country, a lot of people want to come over here, and a lot of people want to expand. Anyways, I'm going to turn the gold layer off, not to spoil anything. That's 2 of 35 gold deposits found. Yeah, we're discovering these very fast. Yeah, now is about time I also mention that California has found gold as well. Yeah, I completely forgot California had a gold mine here too. Yeah, they get the same benefits, but it's not as surprising. Because, yeah, because, it's California. There's going to be gold there. Anyways, that actually concludes this episode of Timelines Unbound. Yes, I forgot the name again. I'm not good with names. And, yeah, thank you for watching. And see you in the next episode where even more crazy shit is going to happen.